All right, what's up, Titan fans, and welcome to another week of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Jason Mackey, and alongside Coach Hand, we're going to talk about the Frostburg State game from a week ago. The Titans lost a heartbreaker 16-13 at Bury Stadium. We have a great player interview with quarterback J.R. Barley. Steve's got his pack report, and we're going to preview Saturday's game against the Grove City Wolverines. But right now, let's take a look at the first half highlights from that Frostburg State game. Audio. Up and good. The Titans lead 3-0 after their first drive. FSU punts on their next drive, and the Titans get it back. J.R. Barley flush from the pocket again, but this time finds Brett Ziegler over the middle. That one good for 15 yards. And on the next play, Barley rolling. He's going to find Josh Weiss for 4 yards. And that would be a Titan first down as a Frostburg State personal foul would move the football up. And Barley completes another one, this time on the swing pass to Sean Buggy, good for 7 yards at the Frostburg State 22-yard line, and it would set up the next Titan scoring opportunity. Chris Castillo right here from 39 yards into the wind. A big kick here as it falls just past the uprights, good for 3 points all the same. Titans lead 6-0. On the ensuing kickoff, though, Castillo's kick falls down to the 23-yard line, but Cooper comes up with a big return all the way out to the Westminster 44-yard line. Frostburg State with excellent field position to start. After the change in the quarter, going the opposite direction, Jimmy Ward looking for Damian Shorter in the right corner of the end zone, but Matt Tynell comes out of nowhere, knocks that one down, forcing Mark Sedlock to attempt the field goal from 38 yards, and he misses it. It was short, and Frostburg State has still not scored. Jimmy Ward right here back to pass, looking to throw, but he's sacked by Matt Handhold and Andrew Robinson. But on the next play, Ward would find his man Desmond Wars for 13 yards, this to the Frostburg State 48-yard line, and the Bobcats gain the yardage back. Later in the drive, Shanorm Young stopped for a loss of a yard there by the nose tackle Ryan Shamora, but again on the next play, Ward comes up big, finds Damian Shorter for 11 yards, and the Frostburg State first down, setting up the Mark Sedlock field goal attempt from 32 yards out. Sedlock hits it this time, and the Titans lead 6-3. On the next kickoff, Josh Pirro is unable to field it, and Gabe Ellis of Frostburg State is going to get it at the Westminster 28-yard line. Frostburg State now back on offense. Jimmy Ward looking to throw, top of your screen on the right side of the end zone to Andre Dixon, but Reggie Williams comes out of nowhere, knocks that down with his right hand. And on a 4th and 2 situation, Jimmy Meter stopped for no gain by Ryan Shamora. The Titans get the football back. Barley now finds his fullback, Josh Weiss, this time for 10 yards over the middle to the Westminster 45-yard line. And the passing game was rolling before the end of the half. Facing a 3rd and 2, they'd go back to the ground game, this time with Sean Buggy for 7 yards to the Frostburg State 40-yard line. And then on the next play from the 40-yard line, Barley finds Jordan Bellish this time as he's flushed out of the pocket. Bellish picks up 28 yards there, and it would set up a Chris Castillo field goal attempt from 32 yards out before the end of the half, but Castillo unable to convert. It falls wide right, but at the end of the first half, the Titans lead 6-3. All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner. Jason Mackey and Coach Han. And Coach, a couple weeks ago we talked about a game where someone just has to make a play. Was this one of those games?
Yeah, well, it was one of those games. I mean, any nip and tuck game like that is going to be a game where somebody just has to step up and make a play.
Now, on the highlights on the kickoff, Josh Biro was unable to field the kickoff, and obviously there was a little bit of problem on the kickoff team. Were you displeased at the inconsistency of the kickoff team?
Well, overall, the special teams performance wasn't, where we would like it. There were some crucial special teams letdowns, and that being one of them. The kickoff coverage wasn't what it should have been. The punt protection wasn't what it should have been, and they were crucial points in the game, and so we're not happy about that. But we know we're going to bounce back from it.
Now, if we talk about the offense, Coach, you guys put the ball in the air, I believe, 31 times. JR completed 20 of them, 161 through the air. But was this something in the game plan you guys expected to throw this much?
Well, we really we felt that we had a pretty good feel of where they were going to be blitzing from, and if we were able to take advantage of the weakness of their coverage, then we were going to be able to throw that many times or more.
Now, last week you and I talked about Jimmy Ward, and he had a low completion percentage, but you said he throws downfield a lot. Now, he threw downfield a couple times, but it seems like you guys were right there to defend the pass.
Yeah, I don't know if he threw downfield quite as often as he had been, but our defensive backfield really stepped it up, from the game prior, and they rose to the challenge and did a pretty good job most of the day.
Another gentleman you talked about last week, Shanorm Young, he said very impressive back, and he really didn't disappoint. He looked impressive.
Yeah, he's a good back, and actually he was more impressive in person than you see on film. And he was a hard runner. I mean, there's not many times that we're going to just get a tackle broken on us by pure just running us over, and he was pretty good.
If we talk about our player interview for today, Coach J.R. Barley, the quarterback, like I said, 20 of 31, 161, touchdown. He seemed to be on the mark most of the day.
Yeah, he had his best game of the year, and he's consistently improving, and still has room for improvement. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and and I think he knows that, and I think he knows that we're more and more confident with him, and he's more and more confident with us as coaches, and that's where that confidence has to come into play for us to go to the next level also.
Well, Coach, if we look at your secondary 2 weeks ago against the Teal Tomcats, they struggled a little bit. Chambers and Satterfield had a big day, but how do you feel they bounced back against Frostburg State?
Well, I think they did. I think they responded. I don't believe that there's a position on our team where we just we don't have ultra competitors, and when you have a team of ultra competitors, they're going to keep fighting and keep battling, and that's what our secondary did in a bounce back week.
All right, well, the Titans lead 6-3 at this point. Let's take a look now at the second half highlights. Ball game tied at 6 after a Mark Sedlock field goal, and the Titans with it now on offense. Buggy for 12 yards to the 45. They wouldn't score, though. Shanorm Young fumbles here. Habavny picks it up, and the Titans get the football back. But on a 3rd and 2, they are unable to convert as Barley completes it to Kutzner, but Kutzner loses 3 yards on the play. The Titans have to punt. Teams trading 3 and outs. Here's another one. Ward sacked for a loss of 5 yards on the play by Ryan Schmore. Those two weren't real good friends on the day. On the Titans' next possession, Barley completes this one to Josh Biro. A nice catch by Biro, sliding to make it happen for 11 yards, and the Titans would cap off the drive with this. JR to Jordan Bellish for 11 yards, and the Titans on top at this point, 13-6. The Frostburg State next possession, Ward completes it to Desmond Wars, but a nice hit there by Joe Tisler knocks the football out. Wars picks it up, though. Frostburg State had to punt. Buggy with a big run here, 11 yards to the Westminster 32-yard line, but the Titans still not able to score on this drive as Barley sacked on a 2nd and 8. He loses 5 yards. Colbert picks up the sack right there, and Frostburg State gets it back on offense, and the big play of the day. Jimmy Ward back, and he's going to chuck this one downfield 43 yards to TJ Changuris for a touchdown, and they tie it up at 13 apiece. Titans back to the running game on offense now. Buggy for 18 to the 47. His longest run of the day. Buggy finished with 96 yards on the day. But on a 2nd and 28 situation, JR back to pass, trying to throw the screen to Weiss, but he's picked off right there by Kevin Colbert. Colbert returns it down to the 23-yard line. Frostburg State would try to score here, but Ward is sacked for a loss of 5 by Habavny and Chamora, setting up a 43-yard field goal attempt by Mark Sedlock. It falls wide left, though. They can't score. Titans get the football back, and a nice pass here. They go back to the passing game. Barley to Buzzard for 8 yards to the 47-yard line, but Buggy was unable to convert. A 3rd and 2. Titans would have to punt right here. Rhodes has the kick blocked, and it would give Frostburg State excellent field position as Mike Bray picks it up at the Westminster 30-yard line, and it would set up this Mark Sedlock from 41 yards out this time, and this time it's good. Frostburg State goes on top 16-13. Titans get the next kickoff with 10 seconds left to play in the ball game, and they're kind of throwing it around a little bit. They weren't able to do anything with it and end up losing this one to Frostburg State by the score of 16-13. All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner. Jason Mackey and Coach Hand here. The Titans fall on a heartbreaker, 16-13, but Coach, the block punt, obviously a big part of the game, a big turning point. What happened on this?
It was a series of unfortunate events. I mean, it really was. I mean, the snap was a little slower than normal. You can see on film. The punter took a little bit longer than normal, and we didn't hold up front as long as we should have. It wasn't any one particular person that I would pinpoint as the person that's responsible for that.
That's something that Coach Fusco mentioned to me, all of those things you just talked about. But another thing he talks about a lot is first down passing. Now, I looked on the sheet this week, and you guys, I think it was 14-13, in favor of run pass. But is this something you guys emphasize more this week, passing on first down?
Well, we take a look at that, every week. And early on in the year, it wasn't very good. I mean, we definitely ran the ball too much on first down, and we were too predictable. But because we have a very good system, and we can evaluate that. We take a look at that every week. Actually, Thursdays are our day as coaches to take a look at the last week's game as far as what we call it. It's called a self-scout, and it's something we wanted to improve on.
Now, Jake Buzzard, wide receiver, caught 4 balls for 34 yards, and he moved into the slot a couple weeks ago. He's been playing more there. How has this affected his play and his numbers?
Well, excuse me. Actually, we've been juggling, a few of those receivers around and just trying to find the right mix. Really, I believe the only guy that hasn't moved is Ziegler. He's remained the X-receiver, but we're just trying to put people in the right positions to utilize their skills, and I think I think we are doing that with Jake.
Now, someone that's been in the right position a lot this season, Ryan Shamora, the nose tackle, named PAC Defensive Player of the Week. Obviously, very impressive. You guys have to be so pleased with how he's playing in his game on Saturday.
Well, I tell you, we said last week when he was the guest that he is just he's an intense individual, and when he decides to go somewhere, he goes there full bore, and he. The thing I'm most proud, again, and I'll say it again about Ryan, is he's doing it within the scheme defensively, and that's so important for people to understand, where you can get some freelance defensive linemen that can make a big play, but then hurt you on other plays, and Ryan is just very, very consistent in his play.
Now, if we stay with the defense, Coach, he gave up 100 yards again to a running back, Shanorm Young. Does this concern you at all going into the Grove City week with how much they run the football?
Well, I'm not super concerned. Shanorm was a very good back, and they ran the ball quite a bit, and I think our guys are going to be up for the challenge of facing a wing T offense and seeing multiple backs. They have several good backs. They could throw any one of them at us.
All right, well, we will preview those Grove City Wolverines in just a bit, but right now we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with Steve Brink's Pack Report after this on Coach's Corner.
Girls at 3 o'clock.
What is he looking at?
Oh, it's so obvious. Captain Obvious has scored again.
Open your window, say something. Oh, he's really gonna down.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Thank you. Honey, finish up. Come on, we gotta go.
Ew.
What's wrong?
Something's on my glass.
Let me see. Oh, it's lipstick. Excuse me, ma'am. Could we just have a new glass, please? This one's dirty. Thank you.
Mom.
Honey, I don't want you to get sick. I don't know what's on that glass.
Oh, have me one too.
Oh, you want a soda beer? Yeah. There you go. There's some honey right here, too.
Picture yourself at Westminster College. Westminster offers an educational experience that is second to none. We've been exceeding students' expectations for 150 years. Westminster combines the prestige of a national liberal arts college with the personal attention you deserve. Westminster is a national leader in graduation rate performance and is the most affordable national liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. Visit Westminster's beautiful 300-acre campus to experience an ideal learning environment. Succeed at Westminster College.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner, everyone. I'm Steve Brink, and I'm here to bring you the Week 9 edition of the Pack Report. Let's get things started by taking a look at the overall standings. Teal is nationally ranked and on top at 8-0, followed by W&J at 8-1. Thomas More comes in at third at 5-3. Waynesburg and Westminster are tied for 4th at 3-5, followed by Grove City at 3-6, and finally Bethany, who is 1-8. But now on to what really matters, and that is the conference standings. Teal is 6-0 and has clinched their first outright conference title since 1972. W&J and Thomas More are tied for 2nd at 4-1. Those two teams will meet up this week, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Grove City is in 4th, followed by Westminster, Waynesburg, and Bethany, who has clinched last place. Now let's take a look at what happened around the PAC last week. We're going to start with the Grove City Wolverines, who went to Alfred, New York, and pretty much got destroyed, losing 27-7. Wolverines had 33 rushing yards on 32 carries. Grove City also gave up 420 yards of total offense. Westminster lost a 16-13 heartbreaker to Frostburg State last weekend. The Bobcats blocked a Dusty Rhodes punt with 33 seconds left, and Mark Sedlock went on to kick the game-winning 41-yard field goal to give Frostburg the victory. And the Bethany Bison fell 42-3 at home against Chicago College last weekend. The Bison were 2 of 17 on third down conversions. Linebacker Tim Getz had 14 tackles in the loss, which gives him exactly 100 tackles for the season. Well, now there's a couple of conference games to talk about, and we'll start with W&J and Waynesburg. Waynesburg actually had more passing yards than W&J, but the Presidents had more points as they won 35-24. Wide receiver Aaron Krebs had 253 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. For Waynesburg, running back Ryan Abels passed the 1,000-yard mark for the season, despite rushing for a season-low 82 yards. And finally, the game of the year in the PAC, which certainly didn't disappoint. The Thomas More Saints lost for the first time ever in PAC play as Teal held off the Saints by a score of 24-14. Thomas More was limited to just 3 yards on the ground on 24 attempts. Teal's 8 wins this year is a new school record. And speaking of Teal, it's now time to acknowledge the PAC Offensive Player of the Week, and this week's award goes to Teal's Stephen Mitten. The sophomore from Seneca Valley High School had a career-high 37 carries for a season-high 217 yards and 2 touchdowns as he carried the Tomcats to their first conference title in 33 years. And the award for Defensive Player of the Week goes to Westminster's Ryan Chumora. Chumora had a career-high 14 tackles in the Titans' loss to Frostburg, 2.5 going for a loss, while also recording 1.5 sacks. Now, of course, only 2 can be named PAC Players of the Week, but we like to send out some love to 5 other top performers around the PAC, and here's this week's edition of the Fantastic 5. Coming in at number 5, we have Waynesburg quarterback Tris Cobbs. Cobb completed 21 of his 35 pass attempts while throwing for a career-high 216 yards with a touchdown. Thomas More quarterback Seth Ellis grabs the number 4 spot. Ellis was 10 of 15 for 181 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Saints' loss to Teal. At number 3, we have Waynesburg defensive end Mike Serwin. Serwin had a huge day as he recorded 11 tackles, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery, and also a blocked punt. W&J wideout Aaron Krebs is in at number 2. Krebs had 253 all-purpose yards as he returned a punt for a touchdown and also caught 5 passes for 132 yards and a score. Finally, at number 1, we have W&J running back R.J. Zitzelberger. Zitzelberger had 118 yards on 23 carries while scoring 3 times in the President's win over Waynesburg. Well, now it's time to take a look at what's happening around the PAC this week, and we'll start with the unbeaten Teal Tomcats. Teal hosts Buffalo State on Saturday. The Tomcats have lost the last 3 meetings between the two schools. Stephen Minton and company were held to just 27 total rushing yards in last year's meeting. The Bethany Bison close out their 2005 season at home as they host Carnegie Mellon Saturday. Bethany fell 63-7 last year in Pittsburgh. CMU holds a 30-7 all-time advantage between the two schools, and Bethany has won only once in the last 16 tries. Grove City makes the short trip down to New Wilmington this Saturday to take on Westminster, and something's got to give in this game as Westminster is 0-5 at home and Grove City is 0-4 on the road. Jason Lundmark's 33-yard field goal with just under 5 minutes to play paved the way for a 9-6 Titan victory last November. W&J makes the long trip to Kentucky as the Presidents and Saints duke it out for second place in the PAC. This is the first time these two schools will do battle. With the victory on Saturday, W&J can keep their slim playoff hopes alive. And finally, Waynesburg travels down to Maryland to take on Frostburg State Saturday. Waynesburg has won the last 3 meetings between these two schools, including last year's 30-19 victory at Waynesburg. Hill Jackets are in the midst of their longest losing streak since 2001. Well, before we go, we got to take a look at the NFL Pick'em Challenge standings, and boy, do we have a great race on our hands. After Coach's 3-3 performance last week, he is now once again tied with Jason for first place. And don't forget about me. I won 4-2 last week and sit only 3 games back with 2 weeks to go. Just so everyone knows, Jason did get the Jacksonville game wrong again last week, and if we take a look at this week's games, you'll see the Jags are on the schedule yet again. Jason has picked Jacksonville to win at home against the Texans, but despite being the worst team in football, I'm picking Houston to pull the upset because it's a given. If Jason picks the Jags to win, they will obviously lose. That does it for this week's edition of the Pack Report. Now let's kick it back to Brentwood's finest, Jason Mackey.
All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner, and I'm here with the player interview portion with quarterback J.R. Barley. I mean, you guys threw the ball a lot last week, 31 times. I mean, you couldn't have minded that.
No, you never mind it as a quarterback when you throw the ball that much. Offensively, we don't always think of it that way with our scheme, the way we run the ball. But overall, I mean, I liked it because I got to be more part of the game.
You asking to throw more still?
I'm not going to say that. That's the coach's call. But, I mean, just like I said, as a quarterback, you always want to throw as many times as you can.
Well, Coach and I talked about why you guys aired it out from a coach's standpoint. Now, from a team standpoint, why do you think you guys threw more against Frostburg State?
Well, just like he said, scheme-wise, it was open. Mm-hmm. We came off the field saying that. A couple of my wide receivers even said it, that they gave us big cushion, gave us room to throw the ball. And we can't not throw the ball. When they give us that opportunity, we got to throw the ball and complete it and catch it.
A question you always got to ask the quarterback, would you rather throw the ball 30 times in a game or have your back run for 200 in a game?
Well, personally, you want to throw the ball 30 times a game as a quarterback. But in a team standpoint, you usually want the running back to run for 200 yards. Because if your running back's going to run for 200 yards, usually you're going to get the win. So that's what I'd say.
Well, you're a big kid. You're taking a lot of shots this season, though. You know, what's the health standpoint? How you feeling?
I'm beaten up. I'm bruised and battered, but and you play on for the guys on the team. I mean, I got a couple nicks here and there, but I mean, you play for the other 21 guys that are out there on the field with you. So that's the biggest thing that pushes me every week to get back out there.
Now, looking back at this whole season, what is the worst hit you've had?
I'd have to go back to the W&J game down near the goal line, and I took a pretty big shot and laid down on the ground for a couple seconds, and I had a line misplay a little bit, and the guy got a clean shot on me. I was down for a couple seconds.
That wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Well, earlier in the season, we talked to the offensive line about quarterbacks, running backs doing anything for them, and they mentioned that your grandma made him some food.
Yeah.
You done anything else for him?
Well, it was kind of as a bet to him because after the first week where I got beat up and things that weren't going real well, we kind of talked, and I said, hey, no more sacks. If you don't give up any sacks, then I'll take you out to eat, or I'll figure out a way to get you some food. Okay. So sort of a bet, and if they do it again, I'll take them out again. But as of right now, they haven't. So
let's clarify this. On Saturday, Grove City, you don't get sacked, they go out to eat.
Yeah. I'll hold it to my word. That I don't know about anywhere because being a college student, you don't always have that kind of money. But I'll for sure take them out.
All right. For Grove City, you're facing DB Ross Tremery, second-team All-Pac last season, and also Aaron Margot, two very impressive players. How much have you guys game plan for those guys this week?
Well, you have to know where they're at on the field. We really haven't put too much emphasis on it, but you do have to remember where they're at on the field because, especially just with the accreditation they have. I mean, they're coming in. One guy's an All-American, so I mean, all conference, not All-American. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you just got to look for those guys and make sure where they're at on the field isn't gonna hurt the play.
I was looking at Margot. He might be an All-American. He's got like 89 tackles, 6 BPs. He's having a great season. But if we look at their offense, they certainly run the ball a lot. You and I talked about the wing tee. Do you guys expect to kind of mimic this and turn it into a ground game, or we're going to see the same kind of passing output as last week?
Well, it depends. They give us the pass. We've watched it on film, and they're going to give that up to us. So we have that opportunity. But we've talked about it as an offense. We need to keep the ball away from them because they do sit on the ball. And we need to keep our defense off the field to keep them fresh so that they can hold them down to as minimum points as they can. And so from our standpoint, if it comes to running the ball, we'll run the ball if they're going to give it to us. But, I mean, we want to be that solid just like last week where it was sort of 50-50. We're going to throw the ball, run the ball, and move the ball however we can.
All right, thank you very much, JR. That does it for our player interview portion of the show. We'll see if he doesn't get sacked and if he takes his linemen out to eat. I really hope that happens. But we're going to take a short break. Coach and I will be back to talk about those Grove City Wolverines after this on Coach's Corner.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
The The Lawrence County Humane Society believes in the safety of spaying and neutering your animals. Spaying and neutering can have many long-term benefits.
We at the Lawrence County Humane Society believe that all animals should be spayed or neutered. Many reasons why, but the biggest reason is that they will be a happier, healthier pet. Also, it alleviates the overpopulation problem.
Getting your animals spayed and neutered is one huge step in making sure that more animals are healthy and find loving homes.
I'm the best thing you ever had. Only thing I'm guilty of is giving you too much love, making you crazy, making you rat, making me fall, making me suspect. Seem to think I'm playing her game. Don't you never heard? This is me.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
All right, welcome back to Coach's Corner. And on Saturday, the Titans and the Grove City Wolverines. It'll be senior day at Bury Stadium. Obviously a big game. The Titans trying to get that first home win of the season. And Coach, you grew up around the area in Elwood City. You know the impact of this game. It's a rivalry game.
Oh, it's a rivalry game, and the close proximity, the similarities of schools, both very good academic schools, small Christian liberal arts institutions.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about the wing tee, how Grove City likes to run the football a lot. Was it any different this week preparing for the wing tee as opposed to some of the spread offenses and pro offenses that we've seen earlier?
Yeah, it's a little different preparing for the wing tee. I mean, and it boils down to being disciplined in your reads and understanding what they're trying to do against you. And the wing tee is a series offense. For every play that they run, there's kind of a counter to it, or a play that's going to keep you honest backside. So you have to be very disciplined in your responsibilities.
Now, if we look at who headmans that offense, Bradford Clark, the quarterback, doesn't throw the ball downfield a lot, but he's also a running threat. What's he look like on film to you?
When he decides to run the ball, he runs the ball hard. I mean, and they do some things that more so this year than in the past even, and as far as their rollout passing game, he's taken off quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And so we have to really have someone in his face when he attempts to roll out.
And one of the guys he wants to throw to, obviously, is Scott Victor, and I think I looked 29 more receptions than the guy next closest to him in the stats. I mean, he obviously eyeballs him a lot. Is this something you guys expect to exploit on Saturday?
Well, I mean, we know he's his number one receiver, and we know that he's a very good receiver, and we're definitely planning on covering him and making sure that we know where he is on the field as well. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they've been getting this young man, I can't remember his name, number 22. They'll throw him into the game, and when he's in the game, they'll try and go to him too.
Now, if we look at the Grove City defense, Coach, 2 weeks ago they only gave up 6 points to Waynesburg, and Waynesburg, they put up 28 against Teal. They're scoring a little bit. This is an impressive defense. How impressive have they looked in your scouting so far this week?
Well, I tell you, that's the biggest difference between the Grove City team in the last 2 or 3 years as compared to this year, and that's their defense has really played a lot better and more consistently. They're going to be an attacking, aggressive style, but fairly predictable on the when they're going to be attacking and aggressive.
All right, well, that does it for this episode of Coach's Corner. We'll see if the Titans can get their first home win of the season Saturday as they take on the Grove City Wolverines. For Coach Hand, I'm Jason Mackey. Thanks for watching Coach's Corner on the Westminster Cable Network.